This one's kind of weird and no one's talking about it. Even my video on it kind of flopped. I didn't know if you knew this, but there was like another dude who he had planned to take out Trump and then flee to Ukraine. I don't know if you knew that. Let me grab this.
This was the Nazi guy that took out and killed his parents. Allegedly.
Yeah.
That's
so he took out his parents and had signal messages with a Russian speaker about fleeing to Ukraine after he could take out Trump. He also had purchased a drone and allegedly some explosives and stuff to help him. People had worked to help. By the way, 10 out of 10 mugshot. 10 out of 10 mugshot. Like, he looks like a crazy psychopath.
Yeah, he looks the part. I mean, you don't need to say he's on the radar because he's already there.
Yeah. You don't need a radar to catch this guy. You're picking him up on everything else. I mean, is this just another? Part of this is also like this. We could talk about it later too, but the left has really normalized kind of psychotic behavior. It kind of started with Luigi Mangione. Then it was like, yeah, it's cool to Molotov Tesla chargers and Tesla dealerships, or to do it to a governor's house, or, like this guy, I don't know. He's not a leftoid.
Yeah.
He's more like kind of your average school psycho.
Yeah. He's a white guy and he's a Nazi, so we're hearing all about it.
Yeah, right. We're gonna hear all about this.
Yeah, we're gonna see levels of transparency that we've never seen before.
Trial will be televised. And he was like, he reminds me of that other guy that did something like this. Was it the other guy, like the New Zealand guy, who kind of had the same like crazy manifesto of talking about like the white race and doing all this kind of stuff? It's almost, to me, look, the left might say, oh, you don't want to claim your own. Well, I don't claim this guy. He's not a conservative. He's a psychopath.
Yeah.
But like, he feels like an op at this point with these people. Like, this is some mentally deranged kid. He was
probably trying to go to Ukraine because Ukraine has a bunch of communities with Nazis in it.
Yeah, the Azov battalion, right?
Yeah. So this guy was also writing how he wanted to like do bombing attacks and to create a situation that would start off a civil war here inside the United States
to save the white race. Yeah, just crazy stuff.
I don't think killing Donald Trump is going to do that.
Yeah, well, he said he wanted to free the United States from Israeli influence or something like that. Again, like, if you want to try to break down like what a crazy person believes, that it's hard to do. It's hard to understand because they are, again, of course, crazy. But like, this feels like a weird psyop. Like, they took some pimply faced kid, just like they did in Butler, and they turned him out too. That's what it feels like to me. Now, he could be an actual crazy Nazi guy.
Yeah,
like, he could be. Certainly, that's what the evidence seems to support. He had been reading up from some like demonic cult called what were they called? Like the Nine Angels or something like that. Some like weird. He lives, by the way, in the next city over. He lives in the city, Luke, where we played mini golf indoors. Like, he lives like 2 minutes from that. Yeah. So like, his parents had been dead for weeks, and he put a camera on them so he could record them while they were dead. And then he would like mouth things to the camera. He was investigating some material on his phone from the Order of the Nine Angels. Some people call it like a neo-Nazi group. Other people call it like a satanic cult. I don't really know. I've never heard of them. Have you ever heard of them?
No, I have not.
Yeah. But like, he literally had pictures that said, basically like memes on his phone that said like Hitler good. It was like so on the nose that it was like hard for me to believe. I was like, okay. But it seems like they could have said all the same stuff about that Butler kid. How come we know all this stuff about this guy, but we know nothing about the kid in Butler? It just, oh, sorry. It's angles, not angels. Yes, I can not read. Sorry. It says they call it a right-wing terror network associated with Satanism. But it, originated in the UK. Is it possible? Yeah, okay. Sure. There was also a US soldier that was like a part of it that plotted some sort of attack.
Yeah. Well, if you look at what happened here, he tried to kill Donald Trump with the help of individuals from Ukraine. Okay? I think that's the big aspect of the story here.
Just like Routh or Ruth. He had connections to Ukraine. What is his name?
Dylan Ruth, right?
No, that's another guy that did something bad. The Routh guy in Florida, who was like he was on the Trump golf course.
Yes.
Yeah. He had like connections to Ukraine. He was trying to recruit for Ukraine, and he also tried to take out President Trump. Now, we don't know what was said in these messages and why he'd want to go to Ukraine. Ryan Ruth, thank you, Chad. Dylan is he's a school guy.
Yeah. Apologies for my mistake.
Yeah. The same last name. It's totally, and both were kind of nuts. Do you think this is just a crazy kid, or are you willing to entertain some like MK Ultra stuff?
You always have to entertain that. But all the things that I'm seeing from here are, most likely, I think overwhelmingly it's just a crazy person.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out more details about this because I'm reading that he was on a bunch of Telegram accounts with a bunch of pro-Ukrainian extremist right-wing groups.
Yep.
Azov-linked groups that he was, of course, talking to and probably getting information about here. That should be the biggest kind of takeaway for me personally, because it does highlight how, yes, there is a extremism problem that does need to be dealt with, whether it's on the left or on the right. I would argue the left is more prevalent towards extremism, especially now. There's still aspects of it on the right that do need to be kind of addressed and called out and spoken out about.
Yeah.
But clearly the phenomenon is more overwhelmingly on the left here. But of course, the corporate media is going to love talking about this, but they're missing the bigger aspect here, which is the aspect of the Ukrainian situation and him trying to take the life of Donald Trump while trying to foment, a civil war here, and him trying to, use a drone.
Is that the same? Was that somebody else who was trying to say the same thing? Was that his whole MO sounds really familiar. Does this sound familiar to you? Like take out Trump to start. Was that the same thing Routh said?
No, I think
can't.
Yeah,
it seems somewhat like, somewhat familiar. But was this kid on SSRIs? I'm going to say yes. Say yes. I don't know if we'll get more information now that we've got a Ukraine connection.
Yeah. Well, he allegedly, we're hearing rumors that, according to the FBI, he took the life of his parents in order to get the funds to assassinate Donald Trump.
But that didn't make sense to me. So if that were true, okay, play this out with me, Luke. If he thought, okay, I'm going to take them out to get money, well, the only logical reason you might think that is like life insurance money. You sell their house, but then why run? You would have said like, oh my God, someone came in and did this horrible thing. Like, taking them out does not actually provide him with any money. I suppose he could say he robbed them or something, but he could have also just he didn't have to take their life.
He might just get access to their bank accounts without them being.
That's what I mean. Right. You wouldn't have to do that.
Money and do all that. But it's like, how are you going to, quote, assassinate Trump to save the white race? That right there.
It's non-congruent. It doesn't really make sense.
But with crazy people, a lot of things don't make sense,
Yeah, I mean, you could argue he could empty their bank accounts, but you don't need them dead for that.
Well, maybe, unless they're like, hey, what the hell you're doing, kid? I just got a notification from my bank saying you took all my
fair.
money.
Yeah, okay, fair. Maybe. That's fair. But they all seem to be pointing as, oh, they lived in a $900,000 house and he was going to use it for clout. And I mean, I guess maybe he just had a bad plan. He was 17 years old and obviously like kind of crazy.
Maybe he was just a retarded, crazy person. I
mean, right. That's probably the most likely, right?
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense here. And unless we see any actual kind of, proof for evidence here, I think it's, and again, it's fair to assume a lot of the crazy stuff, because crazy stuff does happen now, especially when we don't have answers about Trump's assassins.
Yeah. This will be yet another one, a third one that we don't know anything about.